times. It was so good to be everybody. It was so wonderful to hear the children today. Anthony and Adam, Naja, all up there graduating or representing, I should say. And Carol, thank you for putting the children's story together today, talking about resting. It's funny how Carol and I somehow always get our sermons and children's story together. I was originally going to do my sermon on the 5 fish and 2 loaves that fed the 5,000. And when I do this, I try to say, okay, where are we exactly in the Bible before I just jump into a sermon? And before this, feeding the 5,000, which my sermon is not about this time, but it's about resting. It's where the disciples were sent out, all 12 of them, by twos. They were going around to heal the sick, cast out demons, and say that the gospel is here. Jesus is here. Your Christ is here. And to spread the word. Jesus could have done this all by himself, but he chose to use other people to spread his message as well. And he wants to use each and every one of us. So as the disciples were coming back from giving their missionary trip to the following towns, they heard that John the Baptist was just beheaded. So they were kind of sad and gloomy. But they all came back to Jesus. Jesus knew. And the first thing that Jesus heard was he went into a quiet place. And he says, you disciples need to come with me. You need to rest as well. You just had some bad news. You just found out that there's so many things I want to tell you about. So as they got together with their Jesus, they wanted to say, Lord, we did a great job. Lord, we didn't do such a great job. Lord, some people were on fire. Some people were not on fire. Some people didn't want anything to do with us. Some people were more than happy to accept us. Some heard us but didn't react, but they heard us. We were able to do things in your name that we couldn't have done by ourselves. So Jesus was very happy to hear the disciples were excited. As Mark 6:31 says, it says, and Jesus said unto them, come aside by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while. Some of these, Jesus wanted to hear exactly what they did. It's called prayer, what we do today. Jesus wants to know what we're doing in our lives. He wants to know what he can give us to help us out on our journey with the walk with him and to teach other people in this world all about them. I had to tell you a story that just happened this week. Seems so I have some free time. I was able to be in my front yard and I was pulling some weeds and a young guy came by, no older than 20, probably right out of high school, probably his first job. And he was asking me if I needed my roof fixed. I have a couple shingles that are missing. My house is come November to be 25 years and the life cycle of my roof is 25 years. So it's pretty much due right now. I know I was up there. I was fixing it a little bit, but it's still good. But he, in my sense, he was thinking like a disciple would be. He's trying to sell me something. He's trying to sell me something that I need and I know I need. Sometimes I think I need it now, yes, but maybe I can get by with it a little bit longer. I'm not sure. I was kind to him. I asked him some questions. What's the price? Well, it could be, he didn't give me good answers. I asked him, well, how long would it be, you know? And you got to talk to my people. Just give me your cell number. I wouldn't give it to him because I said, I can do the research. I got your name of your company. I understand this. But he seemed pretty excited that I was interested in what he was trying to sell me. My neighbor next door, I think because he was on fire, because I said, maybe, you know, possibly I'll look you up. He went to my neighbor's house. My neighbor was not so nice to him. My neighbor was like, pretty much told him to go away in not nice manner. And a young 20-year-old, you could tell he's not a salesman. You could tell he's trying, but if he looked a little bit longer, he would have noticed my neighbor just got a roof last year. So I think he was kind of insulted, if anything. He's like, can't you see I'm good? Yes, he could probably use one. They could use one, but I just got mine last year. I'm good. It's just sometimes you got to go to whoever you need to go to. Some people need it. Some people are delaying it. And some people say, yes, I'll take it. I think he was hoping for that yes, but a lot of times it's 1 out of 20 would actually say yes. I kind of felt bad for the kid because he was so young that he was trying, but he just had to watch and listen and understand a little bit better. And I could see him right now as the disciples went back to Jesus after they did their first missionary trip. He probably went back to his boss or his supervisor and says, this is what happened. This is what I did good. This is what I did bad. And I'm sure he said, did you look at the roof first? You know, do you think they need it? So that was very interesting to hear what this man named Adam, this young man Adam was saying. He was saying, you need a roof, Brian. You need a roof. And I'm here to help you out. I know the people that can help you out. It's just really interesting to put somebody's daily life on what they do with their job to say, okay, this is what you need, and I'm trying to give it to you. As the disciples came back and Jesus was saying, you guys need that rest. I could imagine that young worker. He was just out there doing his job. Maybe they were cleaning up and he says, hey, you young guy, go out there and run around the neighborhood, see if anybody else needs a roof fix because we're in an area. As you come back together, I guess I'm going to be repeating some of the things in this sermon because I'm just trying to go in a big loop here. These disciples, they needed time to rest too. They were just on a missionary trip. They were trying to do their best to spread the word. They were actually with Jesus himself. And Jesus could have done it by himself. He doesn't really need us. He could just do it all. He could just speak the word and it'll happen. But when the disciples came back, it's like an axeman sharpening his axe, a military man reading his regulations or trying to qualify and whatever he needs to be qualified again to refresh and everything he needs to know. It's a good time to converse with your brothers and sisters, a good time to just read or study. You could probably fill in the blank wherever you're doing. If you're having your job or whatever you're doing, you could just take time to relax and say, okay, this is what I need to do. Because if you keep going, you're going to burn out. You're not going to be able to do certain things. Work can be exhausting. It's physically and mentally tough, and the challenges are always there. They actually did a study in World War II when Germany was starting to invade all these countries and England got involved, and they said, we need to make this war machine. We need to make everything, uniforms, tanks, bombs, factories, weapons, food, how to make allies with their allies, how to make coordinations, thinking about all these things they had to do. And with the workforce, they put them all to work right away. And after a short bit of time, people started passing out. People started saying, I can't do this. I know there's a work effort, but I'm hurting here. And then they call out sick for a couple of days because they can't recoup. So then they did a study and they realized that if the workers could work 6 days and take 1 day off, they're good. Kind of funny how that works, how we kind of know about this since the start of mankind here. And they also did a little more study. They said after about 6 months or so, maybe 4 to 8 or 4 to 6 months, you're supposed to take like a week off, if not 2 weeks off, to get totally refreshed. So they figured out a work and rest cycle. And the same thing happened when I was in Iraq. We worked 6 days. We got 1 day off. They realized that when you go farther than that, you start losing it up here. You get a short fuse and nobody's happy with you. So they realized my day off over there was on Fridays. I was dealing with the Muslim population. Their Sabbath was on a Friday, so I really didn't have a job on Friday, so that was my day off. I got to go do what I had to do, refresh and everything, do my laundry, enjoy my food for once, sit down and relax and just say, I don't have to just eat it and run. I could just eat it and relax. I could take a nap. I could watch a movie. I could write. I used to call my wife at a certain times as well. Every Sunday we talked to each other, and the internet was so slow back then. She sent me a picture of herself, and the things open up so slowly. But it was very nice to be able to see her and talk to her. We were able to communicate and refresh ourselves, let her know that everything's okay. Everything's okay. And it's the same thing with Jesus. He wants to hear what we have to say. He knows what's going on, sort of. No, I didn't mean to say it like that. He wants to hear from us what's going on. And when you commune with Jesus Christ one-on-one, different things happen in your life. He will feed you what you need, what you want, what you desire, if it's for the benefit, of course. And sometimes you could even ask, and he'll give you things that you probably shouldn't get too, because you've asked a lot. We as a nation also have onesies holidays. Mondays are off, or those big ones, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Sometimes we get a 4-day weekend, and our country needs the refreshing as well. When we get together, you get a little reward, and it brings each and every one of us together. I'm talking also about it talks about the rabbis here, but I'm talking about the church leaders as well. A lot of the pastors, I should say at this moment, they after the 7th year, they get a sabbatical. They work 6 years, take a year off. They can go back to school, study, refresh themselves, because if you keep going and keep going and keep going, you're not going to be blessing other people. You're going to be a burden to everybody. Even in Leviticus 25, it talks about letting your land rest. Your land should be worked for 6 years, and the 7th year, just let it not do anything. I mean, if something grows in there, the people can pick the fruit, whatever it's there. But God even had a regulation for the land as well. And I know as we keep studying, you can see why Israel was in 70 years in captivity, because they did not let their land rest. And God let the land rest for 70 years because they did not do what he instructed them to do. Your work can be exhausting over time. It's physical and mental, your physical and mental strength. God just wants you to have communion with him. It's like a little mini vacation when you take some time off from doing your duties in the church. These disciples were not on vacation, but they were vacationing in their mind with Jesus Christ, that they could just spend a little time with him, that they could understand that he is a true source. We're only here in this earth for a short bit of time. And if you can commune with God, that you're going to be with him for eternity, he will show you and teach you ways that you will be able to be with him for eternity. Even today, words of compassion to his workers. Jesus understands the need for rest. As we work through the week, I remember seeing this coffee mug. They were saying, Mondays I give 35%, Tuesday I give 25%, and it goes all the way down to 5% on Friday. He says, yep, I gave 100% this week, because you're just burning yourself out as the week goes by. Your body, your mind, your soul, it's overtaxed. And when you are overworked, overtasked, that's when the devil attacks you the most. When Jesus 40 days and 40 nights was fasting, the devil knew he was weak. He couldn't do anything hardly without God's help. That's what God's trying to say. Come to me. Come to me. A lot of times, as I was reading about in the Bible here, it talked about the rabbis, but I'm going to say the church leaders at this moment as well. They're always in a bustle with activity and their performance, and they're trying to show superior piety. They're trying to outdo each other. They're trying to say, I did this, I did that. What else can I do? I want to do this, I want to do that. But yet they lose sight of Jesus Christ. And next thing you know, it's a competition. And as you can see, my previous sermon was talking about when Jesus cleaned out the temple. He was saying, you guys lost this because you're trying to outdo each other. And because of this, you have no idea why you're doing this anymore. You lost sight. You need to focus back on what Christ wants you to do. Understand that when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you can't do no more, you're going to crash. You're going to just say, I can't do it no more. I give up. I've seen people in the church to where I'm done. They leave the church. It even happened to me teaching the junior class over here. I did it for over 3 years. And it's very taxing on yourself, knowing you have a job 40 hours a week. I had the drill weekends. I was in a leadership position, so I have 12 people under me, and it was like nonstop of doing something. And when I was a junior teacher here, I was also the head deacon and the head greeter. And I was doing the signs out there and then doing the leaf collections and setting up the fellowship meal. It just overtaxed you. After that 3rd year, I hate to say it, I was done. I was ready to leave. I was like, I'm ready to go home. And it happened at that time where my grandmother was ill and I had to take off 90 days, and I welcomed it. I was looking forward to just spending time with grandma for 90 days that she was there. And that's what I needed. I needed a rest. I needed a rest. But yes, I fell into that category where I was ready to go. I was like, it's hard for me to ask, but I always ask for help, but I usually don't get it. And what I'm trying to say is, don't overtask the workers. We need to spread the burden of spreading the word. If we could just say, what was it, Brother Joe, you were up on stage 3 weeks in a row, and then he was scheduled to be on there again. I said, Joe, I got this. And he says, I welcome it. Our brother, Charlie, his wife's father, just passed away. Karen just put her name on the bulletin. So I text him, hey, Karen's taking your spot. He's like, thank you, brother. We owe you one. He was probably going to be here, but he needs to be with his family right now. You may think you're doing the Lord's work, but when you're overtaxed, when you're overburdened, when you're burned out, you're not going to do anybody any favors. You just need to let go, let God. Somebody will step in and they will help out. So if you feel something tugging in your heart to help out with something, by all means, step up. Do what you have to do. I can name names, but I'm not going to name names. But I see some people in our church, they're burning out. Like, I guess because Lorenzo's not here, you can do that. If somebody's not here, you can say their name, right? I burned out, and then he came into the church, and he was on fire. And I said, bro, you need to slow down. You're going to burn out. And he did. He didn't totally burn out because, we're still here. But he was basically saying, I don't know what's going on. I'm giving it all I got, but I need some help too. I know he wanted to do certain things. He says, I can't do it alone. We need to do things to work together as a team, do things to spread the word, do things to make church fun again. Amen. Make church a light, make church a delight, make church a place that we want to come to, a place that we can truly say, my brothers, my sisters, you are my family. If you keep going, you're going to lose sight. And remember, after those 40 days, going back to Jesus, that's when Satan attacked you. So when you're tired, when you're just at your wits, the devil's going to come at you. He's going to say, Brian, why are you going to that church? They don't care. Just go. And I was like that close to just stop coming to church. That was a couple of years ago. And I told myself, what was it, when the last nominated committee, I said, I won't do any more than 3 things, main things. And that was it. That's what my limitation was. That's what I could get to the church. As I kept going, feeding other people, feeding those children, I wasn't being fed myself. I needed a little refreshment. I actually enjoy being a Sabbath school teacher for the adults because I get a break 2 weeks in between. We used to have 3 until Florenzio left. But it would be nice to do it once a month instead, but we'll see how that goes. If you have an urge to try it out, I mean, I now know certain things that I can do that I didn't know I could do before. And I just know I can do it. Just being a greeter that those couple of years. I remember because our sister Maddie's not here, I can say her name too. She was an elderly lady. She said, I can't really do much anymore, but I can greet people. And she was there every day. And she'd always whisper in your ear when she hugged you, she'd say, I love you. Yes. She'd always say, I love you. And you're like, oh, I like that. I like being loved and I like being hugged. Well, don't hug Karen, but she's got allergies. When Jesus told his disciples, you need some rest, he actually took them into they said a desert place. It was basically a place of solitude, a place where you could spend a little one-on-one time with God. I know you know that I actually pray in my basement quite often. I actually was doing the 10,000 step challenge. I got a little Fitbit and I'd walk and I'd pray. And if I came to the evening where I only got 5,000 steps, I got 5,000 more to go, I go in my basement and I'm praying the whole time, talking to God about whatever I want to talk about. Like, God, I'm having this problem. God, I don't know why this is happening. Thank you for this, God. This is great. Lord, help me with this sermon this week. I'm not sure how this is going to go because I started my sermon and I was going against the 5,000, feeding the 5,000, but then it changed just last week. So here I am. So you know about that. You also know some people, when they come to the church, mostly for the food, they see me in here. I'm actually praying in the church too. I got my little Fitbit on. But this church is a good place to pray. Amen. You just come in here, it's holy already. And you can tell Orlando if the AC is working or not as well. So, or some major happenings in the church that you need to go. Jesus also, there's many encounters where he withdrew himself, went to a mountain to talk and pray. Sometimes they talk about him praying all night. Sometimes they say that he woke up early in the morning. I'm sorry, I was trying to find that memory text real quick. Okay, it's in Mark 1:35. And in the morning, rising up a great while before day, he went out and departed into a solitary place, and he prayed. Luke 5:16, and he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed. And then here it is, Luke 6:12, and it came to pass in those days that he went out into a mountain to pray and continued all night in prayer to God. Jesus talked to God all the time. I'm sure when he was walking, he was praying to God, help me give these guys the right answer, help me to touch that person one last time. He must have had a lot of patience with his disciples because they still didn't get a lot of things after 3 long years. Try to seek a retirement place where you can commune one-on-one with God. Try not to bring like something that would distract you, your cell phone, or turn off your phones. Don't even bring it with you. I know, with the exception today where I put the time on to see, because sometimes I go overboard. I put my time on my cell phone, but I always leave it in the car. I know some of you read the Bible during church service, but don't come in distracted. Nobody can text you. I know when I was working, I turn my Outlook off just to do my work. It's the same thing. Don't get distracted by the little tiny things. So your life is busy enough. We should share the burdens with one another. Don't call it a burden. Share the delights with one another. Share the love that we have for Jesus Christ. Thank you so much, Lord Jesus, for loving us, for taking care of us. Thank you for just being our Father, for being there forever. We're only in this world for a very short bit of time when you think about it. Because every time I hear Jesus is coming soon, that if you look at eternity, the time we spend on this, it's going to be a snap. 100 years like a day. Was that what it was? Something like that. And when we get together, brothers and sisters, if we need to talk to somebody, there's always somebody to talk to. It doesn't necessarily have to be in our church. You can talk to anybody. You can talk to your spouse. You can talk to your neighbor. Talk to a family member. Talk to a long lost friend that you haven't spoken in a while. Talk to somebody. And God gives other people certain talents where they can help each other out. And something magical comes when you speak with our Creator. When you speak to him, he likes it. I mean, I could always go somewheres, but if I don't go with my wife alone, it's not the same because we have a little one-on-one communication. If we have, every time I get together, I'm with my sister, I'm with my brother, I'm with these people, I'm with those people. Like, why are we doing double dates? Let's just spend one-on-one time together. One of our favorite things with Karen and I to do is on Saturday nights, eat ice cream, special time that we spend together. She likes Haagen-Dazs. I like just about anything, but yes, you can tell Jesus your needs. You can tell Jesus your wants. You can tell all these things, and he will listen. And you could even ask for wisdom. James 1:5-6. If you lack wisdom, ask him, and he will give it to you. In Psalms 46:10 says, be still and know that I am God. I love Brother Joe. He quoting right when I say this. Yeah. Even Jesus slept. He slept through storms. People are like, what's going on, God? We're ready to drown. We're in a boat. It's going to tip over. Peace, be still. If you just called my name out, I calm your storms down. I calm it down. That's all you can ask for. And Jesus always made sure he had a place to stay, one way or another. He was with his disciples, watching the Chosen that Dan was showing for a second there because he was going to show it. I decided to watch the whole series. And they always had a place to stay. They always had food. They always had some type of shelter. People that he blessed them, they said, come stay in my place. Come, I have a hotel. I got 3 extra rooms. Just stay here and I'll feed you in the morning as well. When you are seeking to do something great, even our first president, George Washington, he always had a place to stay, one way or another. We had a place in Pemberton right here, right by the canoe rental. It used to be an old house. George Washington slept there. It's not here anymore, but I remember seeing it. They just tore it down because they didn't maintain it, but he was all over the place. Even Jesus, on his last days in the Garden of Gethsemane, he told his disciples to rest, and he grabbed a few disciples to pray with him. They were exhausted. They needed a rest, and he understood that. Jesus rested a lot because he was here on earth as a human being. He needed rest. But he always wants to hear what you have to say, because when he was here, he was constantly on the move. Constantly, everybody was being blessed by him. But remember that he could do it by himself, but he wants us to get involved. He wants us to be solely dependent on him, come back and talk to him, and he will guide you. He will show you where you need to go. He will show you the love that we have for one another. He wants us to carry the burden once again. Don't let a few certain people do everything. Share the wealth, share the burden, share the gospel. Remember that we are all here just for a very short time, very short when you think about eternity. There's somebody out there that wants to take us down. Take time to relax. Take time to hear what God's trying to tell you to do. If you need to take a little time off, you can take it. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. That's what the good thing about Jesus Christ is. He will give you a break. But the devil will say, yeah, you just keep going. You preach all those good things. Don't stop. And next thing you know, he's got you. He's got you exactly where he wants you, exactly where he needs you. Take time. Find a place to be with Christ. Find a place to learn to love him more. Find a place that you and him can talk alone. Ask him to bring friends to you that could help you grow a better life. And thank you, brothers and sisters, for all that you do for this church. I know some people just are so full of everything that they want to just keep spilling out everything they have because their cup is so full. Give everybody a chance to grow into the church. Let us love. Let us learn to love. Let us give love. And let us always love. In Jesus' name, amen.